Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, Tom. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back as well. So we're all doing good. Good to be doing the podcast together again. Anyway, so we'll just get right into it. So on today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. A little bit of managerial news and the Scottish Premier League we'll discuss as well. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off, as always, with the English Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 29th of November, the results finished Man City 3, Leeds United 2, Sunderland 3, Bournemouth 2, Brentford 3, Burnley 1, Everton 1, Newcastle 4, Tottenham 1, Fulham 2. And then on Sunday, 30th of November, the results finished Crystal Palace 1, Man United 2, Aston Villa 1, Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Brighton 2, West Ham United 0, Liverpool 2, and Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1. So, as always, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
There's that many to choose from. It's hard to choose, Tom. But I'll probably go with a rogue one here. Probably one that doesn't get mentioned. I'll go Aston Villa 1, Wolves 0. Just on the fact that there's a wonder goal by Boubacar Kamara, an assist by the World Cup bound captain John McGinn. And obviously you think a 1-0 win would be comfortable for Aston Villa. But it was anything but. I thought Wolves had a lot of good chances. Emi Martinez, probably one of the best saves I've seen in recent weeks. He saved it onto the bar and then it was getting in over the line and he's somehow claws it out. He had a brilliant save as well from Brun Larsen as well. So I thought, although it's 1-0 win for Aston Villa, if you're a Wolves fan, it's a positive step in the right direction. You know you get a defeat, but the performance was a bit better. But you can't take nothing away from the Boubacar Kamara straight. I thought it was an absolute wonder goal and probably goal of the week.
Yep. My match is the Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1 match. Top of the table clash, so to speak. Arsenal were obviously in first and Chelsea in third. I think Chelsea were only 6 points behind Arsenal going into this match, so it was quite a lot riding on it. The start of the match was really, actually the full match was really intense. Starting the match, it is a rival derby, sort of London derby. So it felt like that, but the tackles were flying in at the start. Both teams were, you know, they weren't really lying down to each other. It was quite full force, which is quite good to see. You don't really get. I always feel like you don't see a lot of these matches anymore getting played like that. So it was really high intensity. And then the game was pretty even. And then Moises Caicedo got sent off for Chelsea. I don't know if you saw the tackle, Pearse, but it was a poor one. Just sort of a 50-50. And his foot's far too high. And it was I think it was Merino. Yeah, it was Mikel Merino that was on the wrong side of it. And it was definitely a red card. So obviously Moises Caicedo, who's probably Chelsea's best player right now, him getting sent off, you're thinking, oh, I think Arsenal going to win this now. But I actually felt Chelsea with 10 men were probably better than they were 11 men, and they took the lead at the start of the second half with Chalobah. So you're thinking, oh, that's a great situation for Chelsea to be in now. Or they don't really need to chase the game now. But Arsenal, they hit back with a Mikel Merino header. And then I did think after that Arsenal goal, I thought Arsenal had gone to win it, but they just couldn't find that goal. And the game ended 1-1. I thought it was a really good match. And yet Arsenal still in pole position. We don't really talk about Arsenal a lot on this podcast, but I think it is. Think it's about time we do, because I don't know you, Pearse, but I think they're, in my opinion, I think they're the best team in Europe, in the world right now. there we go. Big statement, but I do. Uh, you saw the performance last week against Bayern Munich, who are one of the most informed teams in Europe, and they thoroughly deserve to win. I just think with I just think with Arsenal, it's defensively they're just rock solid. It's Saliba and Gabriel. You've got Julian Timber at right back, Calafiori at left back. It's like it's a back four that's just a wall. They don't concede many goals. They've got such a good threat going forward. Bukayo Saka, especially. You look at the centre midfield, Declan Rice and Zubamendi. I think Zubamendi's been a very underrated signing so far. I think he's been brilliant since he's joined. And then on top of that, up front, you've got Gyökeres as well. I just think they've got a formidable team right now. I definitely think they're going to win the title. I don't know what you, Pearse, but
I don't think so.
well, maybe not definitely, but if there's ever going to be a year that Arsenal win it, I think it's because I think their squad's the best. In my opinion, I think it's the best in Europe right now. I don't know what you, Pearse. What do you think? Am I wrong?
Nah, well off base, mate.
All right, okay.
And I don't know. I kind of despise Arsenal. I don't really like them. I don't like the fans. I don't like the culture. I don't like the club. I don't like the manager. But I think he's very overrated. And I think, yeah, I'll agree with you. I think the squad is brilliant. I think the squad is brilliant. But I don't rate Gyökeres in terms of an elite striker on this level. Obviously, did it over in Portugal, which is a lesser league. He hasn't really translated to that. So I think most of the goals recently have been coming from set pieces and that. Midfield threat of Merino, Saka in the wings, and Martinelli, resurging as Martinelli. But I think in terms of winning the league, they've got the fighting chance. They're 5 points clear. And the fact is, Man City and Liverpool are constantly slitting up week to week. You just never know. But I think the biggest threat to Arsenal this year is definitely Manchester City. I think if Manchester City can just get a groove going, I think they're the only really contenders to Arsenal for the title. I think the fact is Arsenal have been so close in recent seasons that you feel this is the year. But what if it isn't the year? Is that the end of Mikel Arteta's cycle? Who knows?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's if they don't win the title this year, or if they don't win anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's really crazy to say, but you would be sitting there looking at Arteta going, is he ever going to do it?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's got literally everything at his disposal. I mean, you look at that squad, the depth of the squad as well. I mean, I can't think of one position right now where I'm going, that needs to be. Okay, I know you say you don't rate Gyökeres, right? But then again, like they've got Merino up front, who's doing a job for them up front. They've still got Kai Havertz to come back. I know these two guys don't score a lot of goals, but they do give them a lot of.
If Arsenal had Haaland, it's a guarantee win the league. That's the difference. Like if you look at every other area of the team for Arsenal, there's no weakness. But there's a 50-50 that you split your blood. Gyökeres is brilliant. Gyökeres is shite. But I think Gyökeres is a good player, but he ain't that Haaland level, because if he's a Haaland level striker at Arsenal, I'd put my money on Arsenal in the league right now. That's how confident I'd be. Because the squad
well, obviously Haaland's there's no debate. Obviously he's a better striker than Gyökeres. You looked at Gyökeres at Sport Lisbon, and he was unbelievable. He was the most informed striker in Europe when he played for Sport Lisbon. Obviously, we knew playing for Arsenal was a totally different sort of ball game. He hasn't really got going, and he was the one that Arsenal needed. He was that striker. At the time when they signed him, I thought it was the wrong striker. I thought they should have went for a different type of striker than Gyökeres, but it was Gyökeres. So it's too. I mean, he isn't as prolific and right now, and he has been injured. But if he was banging in the goals right now, which we know he isn't, then you'd say for a certainty that Arsenal are going to win the title. But he's not. It's other people that are going to have that are trying to do it. So I think Arsenal fans, and I think Arsenal are hoping that when they go into the second half of this season, that Gyökeres does start to sort of settle in a bit more and start hitting buying the goals in. But um, you say it won't happen. You say you don't rate him as highly. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had a look. I haven't had a good look at him yet to see because he doesn't really play all the time. So I don't know. The jury's
Well,
still out for me there.
what I've seen, and I think for me, the reason that Arsenal will potentially could win the league is down to their defensive midfield. It's not their striker.
Oh yeah, defensively, like they're unbelievable. Like the genuinely, like I look at the defense of them and I sit there and I go like, how do you genuinely score? It looks impossible to score.
No, but when you include
Like
the defence, you include the fullbacks and you include the two DMs in terms of Rice and Zubimendi.
Zubimendi, yeah, no, yeah, and then you've got Odegaard
Yeah.
in there as well, who's a
Eze,
playmaker.
Eze,
Eze, who's
brilliant.
terrific player. You know, I mean, as a midfield and defensively, and even the keeper, I think David Raya is a really good
That's a
keeper.
brilliant keeper, yeah.
You do look, but we all know the question is up front: do they score enough goals?
Yeah.
Right now, it's working for them, but
Long
there's
run,
still a long way to go.
especially in the Champions League, I don't think it'll work either. In terms you get to the
Well,
latter stages, if you want to go and win the
yeah,
competition, because I think obviously Arsenal will obviously qualify for the knockouts, but I'm saying in terms of like only the elite teams, the best players get to the quarters, semis, and finals.
yeah,
You can't defend against it's like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Like it's obviously they beat them recently, but it's still the league phase. When you get to the knockouts, that's when the pressure kind of ramps up. You know what I mean? It's that in that at that time of the year when you're competing in all fronts. So I think
yeah.
it's different when you're competing early in the competition. But like you say, I think if it depends on January as well. Arsenal might strengthen. I doubt it, but I think serious questions have to be answered if Arsenal don't win any trophy this season because they've only won one FA Cup and one Community Shield, and Arteta's tenure's been there he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it is all kind of now riding on this season. I think this has to be the season. Basically, this has to be the season for Arteta. I think. He's got everything there to do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're still not in Christmas yet, but I think we can both agree that they are in pole position. And right now, I think it is hard to see. No, maybe Man City, but it does look like right now Arsenal are going to go on and win that title. But obviously, the closer we get to that we'll talk about it more. So yeah, that's the English Premier League covered. We'll move on now into the Scottish Premier League. So the results were on Saturday, the 29th of November. It finished Motherwell 0, Hearts 0, Dundee 3, St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. And then on Sunday, 30th of November, the results finished Hibs 1, Celtic 2, Rangers 0, Falkirk 0, and Livingston 0, Aberdeen 1. So, yeah, Pearse, not a lot of goals this weekend, but which match stands out to you the most?
I think I'll probably go. I don't want to go on 0-0. Hibs 1, Celtic 2. Just because
I think that's one. That's my one as well. I'll
yeah,
just
I
say.
think it's because it's a massive tie, and the fact is Celtic's record in recent years at Easter Road is pretty poor.
Aye.
So I think it's a monumental victory, and obviously with the news before the match about Martin O'Neill announced he's staying on for another match, so probably this midweek will be his last match as a Celtic interim manager, and probably is the last time he'll probably manage Celtic. So I think it'll be an emotional time for Celtic fans and all of Scottish football because he's a massive character. He's a Scottish football legend as well as also down in English Premier League as well. But I thought in terms of the match itself, I thought Hibs started the game well, but also at the time they pressed Celtic really high and brave, and they got some joy out of that. But when Celtic moved the ball quickly and broke the press, that's when the chances opened up. And I thought at times Celtic did play really really nice football on the through the press. And I thought Rio Tati, Cal McGregor, were the architects of that. I thought just the 1-2 touch, and they allowed players like Marcelo Sarachi and I thought Yang was probably one of his best performances as well, followed up with his performance in midweek. I thought um, under Martinelli he's had a new lease of life, because I thought after a few months ago he was Celtic career was over. Because obviously undeniably he's got talent there, but is he going to be a regular for Celtic, and is the consistency level for him? But I thought the two goals, in terms of the first one, massive mistake by the goalkeeper. Kind of stupid decision, and just sometimes just better just to clear your lines, especially when your team's pressing you high. To made it scoring, and the second one quick. I was a bit in shock when I was watching the match. It was two goals in the space of a minute. And then also the penalty for Hibs in the second half, I thought, for me, a bit harsh, but I thought it was a penalty because his arm's out from his body. But I thought Hibs created chances, Celtic created chances. One of those end-to-end games. It was just a really exciting match to watch. I thought Martin Boyle was obviously the standout for Hibs. I thought Dyson made a Yang were the two best attacking outlets. I thought Celtic's defence in the second half stood strong. I thought Scales and Trusty were pretty good. And just all in all, it was an end-to-end match, and it was a good advert of Scottish football.
Yep. I agree. That was my standout match as well. Two good teams going up against each other. And, Hibs are kind of going well right now in the league. Obviously Celtic back in form now under Martin O'Neill after Brendan Rodgers' resignation. So I didn't really know what to expect getting into this match. I didn't know what way it would go. I thought it was quite an interesting match, but Hibs started well. And had a couple of good chances, and then Celtic, as you said, took the lead. Big mistake from the Hibs goalkeeper. And then Hibs got a bit of work to do, and then it was literally a minute or two later, Celtic make it 2-1. 2-0. And then you're sitting there going, oh well, that's probably Celtic wrapped it up now, because I think you'd find it hard for Hibs to come back from 2 goals. So 2-0. You're thinking Celtic are kind of that's done and dusted, but Hibs got the penalty. My opinion, I think it's quite a dodgy penalty to give. I understand why it's given, but I just think it's quite harsh. But anyway, it is kind of in the rules. Hibs get a goal back, and then the last half an hour, 20 minutes of the match, Hibs sort of kind of took over, and thought maybe they were unlucky not to get a point out of the match at the end. A few good chances, a couple of good saves from Kasper Schmeichel, the Celtic goalkeeper. But Celtic got the job done. That's them now cut the gap on Hearts at the top of the league by 2 points. As I said, Hearts drew in Motherwell this weekend 0-0. So yeah, Martin O'Neill's definitely gotten them back into a good position in the league. He's had a couple of good results in Europe. Obviously, the impressive one on last Thursday, again away to Feyenoord, winning 3-1. Really impressive victory. We all, as you said, Pearse, we all thought Sunday would be Martin O'Neill's last match. It isn't. He's taking the match on Wednesday. But I just want to ask you this, Pearse, now. So he has literally just confirmed. I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but he has basically just said Wednesday is my last match. And then the new Celtic manager will take over on Sunday. So it's all but confirmed now. But we both know, if anyone doesn't know, I think we both know who the Celtic manager is going to be. It's going to be the Columbus Crew manager, Wilfried Nancy, who's going to take over from Martin O'Neill. We haven't really talked about this guy before, Pearse, on the podcast, I don't think. Obviously, we've been busy the last few weeks, so it's obviously developed since we've both been away. So Wilfried Nancy, Pearse, while we're both together, what do you think if he is to become the Celtic manager, which it does look likely?
One of those ones. It's a left field appointment. He's come from MLS, obviously a massive step up, but what you've heard from MLS is good things. His team plays quite exciting football. The only probably reservation I would have is probably the 3 at the back. I don't think Celtic should play a 3 at the back. Similar to what we mentioned with Imminent and Manchester United. a club should always have traditions, and I think Celtic have always had traditions of 4-3-3 attacking football. And I think if you start playing a three at the back, you're asking for trouble. And like you say, Celtic are in a good groove at the moment under Martin O'Neill. And I think he should just come in, adapt to the squad that he has, and play the best football and the best players in the right positions. And I don't think you can change a whole system during the midst of a season. I think you can do that in pre-season, and now you're going to have 3 games a week. So I don't think you can really change too much. I think you should just come in and continue the good form and use his tactics in the right way. And I think that any good manager at any level can adapt to the club that they're at and put their philosophy and their stamp in the way the patterns they play and stuff like that. I think you can adapt that way. But what I've heard, exciting things, but if you start playing 3-4-3, he's asking for trouble.
Yeah. It's such an interesting appointment. When I first heard that his name was linked to the job, I thought, nah, I don't see that happening. For obvious reasons, but obviously it's good arm and legs. It's obviously the person that Celtic want. So, I think it's been pretty much known that he is going to be the new manager for the last couple of weeks. So I managed to get my head around it. Seeing Wilfried Nancy as Celtic manager, and my thoughts on it are, I've seen the way he plays football at Columbus Crew. As you said, he has used this three at the back system a lot in his time in that team. As you said, I don't see that happening at Celtic. I don't think Celtic have got the personnel as a squad to play like that. But he does play a very attacking, high pressing style of football. He's very well thought of in the MLS. He won Coach of the Year in 2024. He's won trophies in the MLS as well. So in terms of reputation coming from the MLS, it is very good. I've listened to him speak. He does come across, quite well. I think I've seen him lose his temper a couple of times in press conferences, which which I think is going to be, which I think in Scotland, I think he's going to be losing that quite quickly in the next, I think when he arrives, I think he's going to realise in the first 10 minutes into his press conference, he's going to have to hold his nerve. Aye, no,
Get the popcorn ready.
aye, exactly. Yeah. So in terms of reputation for MLS is very good, but the big question is, and we all know this, that the step from Columbus Crew to Celtic is massive. He's going to realise pretty quickly that it's a totally different ballgame managing Celtic. His life as he knows it in Columbus Crew is going to be very different. He probably goes around Columbus, Ohio. Nobody knowing him really, hardly anyone knowing him. Getting to enjoy his life, but he's going to obviously end up, and he'll probably know this, that he steps one foot out the door and 5 minutes later somebody will be bumping into him. So he's going to have to deal with. Obviously, the pressures are going to be much different. Obviously Celtic expect to win every match. They've got a very passionate fan base who expect the highest of standards. So he's also going to have to deal with that. And he's also coming into a team that, okay, they've hit form right now, but they're still not on top of the table. They've still got some work to do in the league. And if it is going to be his first match on Sunday, he's up against Hearts, who are top of the table. So, I mean, what a match to come into. A top of the table clash.
One
That'd be
thing
very interesting.
you can't forget as well is the discontent amongst the fans in the board.
Exactly. So he's got that to deal with. He's coming into a sort of split sort of club right now where the fans and the board aren't together. I think Martin Neal's done a good job in terms of bringing the fans back on side with the team. But in terms of the Celtic board, it's not there right now. And I think for the Celtic board, it's a massive risk, because this could, in my opinion, I think this could be an absolute masterstroke where it's kind of an Postecoglou situation where it just goes brilliantly. or it goes the other way and it ends up a disaster. And I think if it ends up a disaster, which I hope it doesn't, you don't want that to happen to any manager who comes into a club. But
Mm.
I think the Celtic board are going to have to, run really, because I think the Celtic fans will, I think, pretty much have had enough, because it is a very brave appointment from Celtic.
Yeah.
Um, you know, because obviously this guy's never had any managerial experience in Europe as well. He didn't really have an impressive playing career. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But it's not confirmed yet, but it does look likely that Wilfried Nancy will be the Celtic manager this week.
And
So,
let's not forget as well, Tom, Rangers recently sacked their boss, so you never know.
yeah, exactly. They've sacked a couple of high, high kind of people in football. Kevin Farewell and Patrick Stewart, sporting director and the director of football. So, you know, um, Rangers fans wanted them to go anyway, so they got their wish. So we'll see what happens with there. So it's just such a high pressure environment in Glasgow. And I think Wilfred Nancy, if he does become the Celtic manager, he's going to realise that pretty quickly. So yeah, that's the Scottish Premier League rounded up. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so Asian football roundup. So K-League 1 is now officially over. So with the last match day this past weekend. So on Sunday, the 30th of November, we had Daegu FC 2, FC Anyang 2, Suwon FC 0, Gwangju FC 1, Ulsan HDFC 0, Jeju SK 1, Gangwon FC 1, Pohang Steelers 0, Gimcheong Seung-Won 0, Daejeon Ha Citizen 3, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors FC 2, FC Seoul 1. So we all the new Jeonbuk World Champions. So they finished with 79 points. Second's Daejeon Hana Citizen on 65 points, and Gimcheong make up the top three in 61 points. Rock bottom and officially relegated from the K-League 1 to the K-League 2 is Daegu FC. 11th Jeju SK and on 39 points, and 10th position is Suwon FC on 42 points. They two teams are into the K1, K2 relegation playoff. So in terms of the J League 1, with Sunday the 30th of November, with Alberts Nagata 1, Kashimasu 3, Avisa Fukuoka 1, Gambo Osaka 0, Fagiano Okayama FC 0, Ura Red Diamonds 1, Kawasaki Frontale 1, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 2, Esuchi Zelvia 3, Nagoya Grampus 1, Shonan Bamari 1, Shimizu S-Pulse 0, Tokyo Verde 0, Cashew Antlers 1, Visel Kobe 0, SC Tokyo 0, Yokohama F Mariners 3, Cerezo Osaka 1, Yokohama FC 0, Kyoto Sanga FC 1. So in terms of league table, the G League 1 has still got one match day left to play next weekend. So Cash Antlers are on course to win the league as it stands, but they've got close challengers right behind them in Cashew Racel, who's on 72 points, so 73 points Cash Antlers. And then we've got the heating up for the top three place, the third and final Asian Champions League place, and that is currently in the current standing, it's Kyoto Sanga FC, only by 3 goals because they're both on 65 points with Sanfrecce Hiroshima in 4th, and then Vissel Kobe, last season champions, are sitting in 5th on 64 points. And at the bottom of the table, we've got Alberts Nagata, who are officially relegated on 23 points. Shuro Bamari is on 32 and 19th, and Yokohama FC is on 18th position on 32 points also. And Nagoya Grampus is safe on 40 points in 17th position. So Yokohama FC and Shonan Bamari will drop into the J1, J2 relegation playoff. So in terms of other Asian football news, Jeonbuk coach Maurizio Taricco has resigned after receiving a K-League suspension for racial discrimination. In his statement, he criticised the league for branding him a racist and said he is stepping down to continue his career in an environment of respect and equality. The KFA, Korea Football Association, is in discussion with the JFA, the Japan Football Association, over a joint bid to co-host the AFC Asian Cup in either 2031 or 2035. So Mito Hollycock are promoted to the J League 1 as J2 champions. They'll be playing in the first tier of the Japanese football for the very first time in the club's history. And Vissel Kobe have announced that Takayuki Yoshida will leave at the end of the season. That is their current manager, and there's so he's either going to go to a team in Japan or Korea, but it's not confirmed at the moment. But it's confirmed that he will be leaving Vissel Kobe. So the K-League 1 will expand K-League 1 to 14 teams from 12, starting from the 2027 season. As part of the expansion, 2 additional teams will be promoted from the K-League 2 in the 2026 season. In the 2027 K-League season, the final series, which splits the league into 2 groups, top 6 and a bottom 6, will be abolished. The 14 teams will, however, start with a new system which will play a total of 39 matches with a 3-round robin format. So we play each other 3 times. And the K-League 1 awards were given out this past weekend. So the 2025 K-League 1 Best 11 has just been announced. And that is 2 strikers, or 2 forwards. Pablo Sabag of Suwon FC, Lee Dong-Gyeong of Gimcheong and Ulsan HD, 4 midfielders of Son Kyo from Jeonbuk, Park Min-seo from Jeonbuk, Kim Jung-gyu from Jeonbuk, Kang Sung-yoon from Jeonbuk, the 4 defenders of Lee Myung-jae of Daejeon Hana Citizen, Yazan Al-Arab from FC Seoul, Hong Jung-ho from Jeonbuk, and Kim Moon-hwan from Daejeon. And the goalkeeper is Song Byung-kun from Jeonbuk. So it just shows you that I think we know who won the league there, Jeonbuk. And finally, we had the K-League Awards. So the best player of the year was Lee Dong-Gyeong of Ulsan, who was on loan at Gimcheong doing his military service. And the young player of the year goes to Lee Seung-Won of Gangwon FC. And the manager of the year was Gustavo Poyet of Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.